Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Mr.Squarrel. I hope you're all doing wonderful. So I made a video on the most impactful characters. I also want to do one on characters I regret summoning for. And I think this video will be, it's interesting because this prompted this video was I was looking at sales data and I saw the two highest grossing characters in Honkai Star Rail were this one by a large margin, Acheron, and the second one is Firefly. And I'm going to talk through a little bit of who are the two characters that I felt like, the characters that I kind of regret summoning for the most, in no particular order. But I'm just going to talk through who I thought were the characters that I had the biggest regret, and I feel like kind of got power crept really fast. And I'm going to start, the first character I'm actually going to start with, where is she? I'm going to start with him. Danheng, I got him actually on a whim. I did a 10 pull one time. I wasn't particularly interested in his character because I just didn't really like the idea. I don't know if I would say I regret summoning for him because at the time, because I also have to remember, that's why he's lower on my list of regret, because I feel like he was very helpful at the time, and he just did so much damage when he came out that it was like, alright, but I felt like it was like once Ratio came out, it kind of felt like he did what he was doing, and he was not needed anymore, and Ratio is free, right? So, I mean, that's the thing. If I also look, I don't have any really good imaginary DPS. So, I mean, to this day, I've used him a couple times, but I also feel like he just kind of, what he's doing is he's very particular in what he needs, right? Again, I only have him at E0. I've heard if you have him at E2, he is much better. But yeah, that was a character I just didn't really feel, I felt he was good for a time, and then he just wasn't. Yeah. You know who I know people are going to say? I actually never regret pulling for Blade. Blade's still probably one of my favorite characters. I love his design. I like HP scaling characters, so I don't regret pulling for him at all. My Blade is his crit rate actually just because of his relic sets. It does go up quite a bit. And just the way he operates. So for me, he's great. I love Blade. Blade's like one of my favorite characters. So yeah, I'm good. And the fact that he's getting a buff makes me really ecstatic. So I don't regret. I know some people are like, I regret pulling. I don't. Blade's probably one of my favorites. So the next character I want to talk about that I regret pulling for. It's kind of funny because it's like these two kind of came out relatively close to each other, but she was good. Same thing to Danheng. She was good until she wasn't. And she got power. It felt like she got power crept really, really, really fast. I will say this though. I do like her general playstyle. I think she is very good. But I also think things about her kit that she does an immense. Mine is pretty well built up. I've got her running this set, so I've got her running the Scholar and Loster edition, so she's sitting at 50. She gets 50% when she goes into her besotted state, and then I never really noticed this. Sorry, that's throwing me off. And so she's got 201% crit damage. Overall, she's good. The thing that she runs into an issue of is that what I'm trying to say here is that she doesn't have any way to make it, like if someone's not weak to ice, she's just not going to be doing damage. I mean, that's just the meat and potatoes of it all. Sorry, I keep bumping out of this. And so it's like if you don't have ice weakness, she's just not that effective. And I mean, that makes sense because she's an ice character, but there's other characters and there's no one really on her team that can help her be effective in situations where there's no ice weakness, right? And for instance, I'm going to use the Herda, who's another ice DPSer. The Herda pairs incredibly well with Anaxa. Anaxa and the Herda are like a dream team. And the thing is, Anaxa can just implant weakness, and the Herda just does it. And like, she then just is operating on a really, really strong system. Meanwhile, Jing Liu, I think one of her best partners is Blade, because then, these two, similarly, I'm going to kind of draw some comparisons here, you know, ice, wind, ice, wind. But the thing about these two, you're kind of getting the same thing, but without the added bonus of let's just say being able to do it in any form of content. Now they are, I think, a pre-version of them because they're much earlier, and they're also, I've heard, getting buffs. But like, that's the thing, is like, this team does exactly that, but just better. Granted, this is 3.0 versus 1.0. That's also very important to acknowledge that we're operating. But I do slightly regret pulling for her because she's just an attack scaling character. And she got power crept really quickly. I feel like the 1.0 characters got very quickly power crept. Which brings me to my next character, which is a little bit different than the other ones, and it's Sparkle. I think this is, so I'm going to kind of talk about, so I think they handled the aging of Penacony characters really horribly. Because Sparkle was supposed to be a really good big buff to Bronya. And the thing what ended up happening is Sparkle actually just turned out to be essentially a downgrade to Sunday. Sparkle, the thing with these characters is they're buffing a singular character, and Honkai has moved towards more of a dual DPS role versus singular DPS, which means that Sparkle, Sunday, and Bronya have, like, in the hyper carry comps, they're really good, but the problem is that we're not dealing with that many hyper carries anymore, unless you're, where is she? Her. Then you got hyper carry. Or her. These two still, I think, operate. She still operates as a wonderful hyper carry, but I'll talk about her in a little bit later. But she just doesn't do what she was supposed to. I think she just got power crept. Unfortunately, they didn't give her a distinguishing enough feature that makes her stand out. Now, the thing is actually, so for mine, do I have her? Where do I have her at? No, I have her at E0. I mean, Eidolons make these characters have more staying power, which is very much the model, right? You get them in higher E Eidolons, they are going to stick around for a much longer period of time. Problem is, it's like, do you summon one of these characters who, get high Eidolons? I'm sorry. Or do you, wait for the character that's just going to power creep them and get them at lower Eidolons? I don't know. And then wait for these characters to get buffed. So, she kind of regret, but at the same time, I don't. And there's a reason for this, but this is also kind of coming back to another regret pull. Not a regret. I don't regret pulling Acheron. I actually think so the thing is, though, and different than everybody else, I have her at E2. And that, the E2 for her, I think, completely changes her entire game plan, because she goes from being needing 3 Nihility characters to needing 1. Sorry, 2 other Nihility characters to needing 1. Which means, guess who I can run with her? I can run Sparkle. Sparkle literally just makes Acheron, because Sparkle resonates so well with her in that she's feeding skill points, and Acheron's team can be very skill point heavy. I do think that Acheron with Sparkle is a phenomenal combo as long as you've got Acheron at E2. Because then with Acheron you can run him, and with him you get this which is constant stream of points for her ultimate, and it is wonderful. And then finally, you can run numerous. I actually really like running my favorite sustain, which is Adventurine. I think he's great. So, because he's debuffing left and right. So, you're just getting this constant stream of skill points. Would I do it again? No. I think that's what, I haven't heard. This is one time I kind of wailed for a character, which is E2. And I'm never going. I know there are people that went to E6. I'm good. E2 is the furthest I've taken this character. Because there was a time when I was very, 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 very into this game. And I think that comes back to kind of what happened with Penacony, and what I'm, the character that I honestly most regret pulling for is going to be, well, a Penacony character. And I'll talk about that character in a second. But I look at these other characters, and they had a lot more staying power than these characters. I will say Akron though does kind of get power corrupt. At the same time, she's still really good for me because of her E2 status. I also have her a really good build on her. She's just, I mean, this is not her actual crit. Her crit bumps up to like 30+%. So she's sitting around 80+% crit rate, and she's got 250 crit damage. I mean, my Akron does an immense amount of damage. I just think the way that they're structuring the Divergent universe doesn't always benefit her the most. Like the buffs that they're giving, because it's now very much about HP and her super speed, which she's fine. But I think she's good. I just don't think she's not being helped, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that has a lot to do with the structure that they're going with, which also I feel like people felt burned going for her, which is fair. And now people are like, why would I invest in a character when that character is just going to get powered up? And they thought that, this game was going to take a Genshin role where it's like, all right, the characters stay relevant for a really, really long time, which leads me to this issue right here. So the reason I pulled her is because I wanted a character that, the big thing about her, it's right here, her ultimate. She doesn't have a weakness. Like, it goes through everything. But then, I get power crept. Like, that's the only part of her kit that's doing that. And then, she's not outputting the same amount of damage as everybody else. And so it's like, that's kind of a bummer. Which leads me to the character that I most regret pulling. And that is Firefly. I'm a big mech. That's not what I meant to do. I'm a big mech person, and Firefly, being someone that just, has the mech. For her, I have the discretion free-to-play Lycone on her because it works out perfectly. I didn't feel a need to go for her Lycone. But the thing is that, like, she does her thing, and my issue with Firefly is her downtime. Her downtime can be very problematic. I think when she's in the mech, when she's got her inner mech, when she's got the advanced mech, and she's got, like, she's flying all over the place, she's great. The problem is that once she gets out of that state, she's just not good. And she needs people to help her do Super Break. The thing is you'll notice what happened to where is he? Right now, there he is. He's in Remembrance, right? He's not on the, the Break the Harmony version of himself, which is the Harmony MC. So then she's lost her Super Break, and I'm not going for Ting Yun. So then it's just like she has no access to, she has it in her kit, but she doesn't have access to the big damage of Super Break. And on top of it, she has a lot of characters that are constantly contested with other things. Like Gallagher is her best in slot healer, but then he's being contested for other places. The other thing is her team has always felt like it can get one shot very quickly. And that one shot is so problematic in design. It feels like she is supposed to be stronger than she is. I think she does need a buff. And because she needs someone with Super Break, which then it kind of limits what she can and cannot do. And this is probably one of my biggest regret pulls. Like, I just feel like if I don't have the exact setup, she's just going to suck. And that does not feel good. Even though she's implanting fire weakness, she's doing a lot of really cool things. She's just very limited in what she can do. And the biggest thing is if an enemy you can't break an enemy, she literally loses her entire value. Like, she does nothing. And so there's just, while yes, if under the right conditions, she's amazing, under anything that disrupts those perfect conditions, she becomes less than stellar. And then it's a feels bad moment. Her Eidolons also are incredibly important. This is a character that I went for because I thought her E2 was going to be good. After this situation, I actually felt super burned by Hoyo in the way that they handle these characters, the Penacony characters specifically, and I have reduced very heavily down on what is. I was like, I'll have a fire character that can implant fire weakness, and I have a character who doesn't care. If I just get these two characters, then I won't need a pull. And then, I don't know, like, then they just, within patches, they were doing, the content was not it literally, they power crept these characters incredibly fast. And after that, I was just kind of like, go for E0. If maybe their light cone's really good, I'll go for it. Like my Castries, E0. I'm trying to look at another character that came out after Herda, E0. Where is the Herda? Yeah, my Herda. So yeah, my Castries, just so you can see, E0. The Herda, E0. Because you don't need them. Like, you just don't need them. If they're doing a power creep characters, like they are power creeping them, you don't need to go for. I will say though that my Acheron, she's very good, and still handles all content perfectly fine. So there's no, she does what she needs to do. But the thing is like, Castries does it too, and she's E0. So it's like, they're good when they're good, and then they don't. And so it's just like, might as well just keep them at E0. And then, now that we know in the summon system, so I'm just going to kind of point this out, like, if I go here, where is it? They're putting Fushuan, Blade, and Sele. They're here now. So who knows what they're going to start adding as the years go on. And then it's just like, do I need to? See, I've already pulled one Fushuan from doing this. So it's like, alright. Yeah, so I keep him there just because he's E6. So I can, like, when I get pull a copy of him, I've only pulled him a billion times. So that's the thing. This is like, I've pulled Welt so many times. If I lose a 50-50, it's to Welt. So there's that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's pretty much my biggest regret pulls. I do regret Jing Yuan, but at the same time, he's fun. So I don't know if I regret him. He's just a fun character. His style is really enjoyable. But yeah, so I will say, yeah, I kind of do regret pulling him. Especially those 1.0 characters. I think they just got power crept so fast. And if you'll notice, what are the characters besides one that I regret pulling? It's the DPSers. Are they good when thei good? Yeah, they are. But at the same time, they don't have a lot of staying power. And I think that's kind of a problem. Like, DPS just get power crept so fast in this game. Except, Fei Xiao, she's phenomenal. But then again, Fei Xiao, well, here's the thing, I'm going to say this. So Fei Xiao, and I'm going to just throw out, I don't think she's going to get power crept super fast because of her. Topaz and Fei Xiao are a phenomenal combo. You know who else this is very, very, very close to? The Herda and Anaxa. Topaz and Fei Xiao are still, I think, a top tier combo. Wherever I put it here. And because they go so well with them, Robin, and Adventuring. This is like a team that you have to, like, straight up make better versions of the exact same characters, because when I have a single target boss, that's my go-to team. They're just so phenomenal in that role of doing a ton of damage that it's like, great, I'm gonna keep them. That team for me operates on such a level that it's like it hasn't been power crept, and it does what it does very, very well. I love the follow-up team. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope this was informative. But remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning, and this is just me failing a little bit.